Oh damn, I think that would look awesome with the carbon fiber plate. Ta-da! This is usually fairly frightening.
I'm gonna make something great. That's my way.
Today I'm going to be making an insane up pipe. I've got a brand new T3 flange here, and I've got 2.5-inch pipe that I'm going to cut up into a bunch of pieces with angles and everything before I start, so I have an assortment of stuff because I'm going to pie cut the entire thing. Got a whole bunch cut. Now I've got to sand them, make them look pretty, and then they can all be welded together however I want. Alright, so 20 seconds for you is about 2 hours for me. So I've got them all done. They're looking really good. So what my next plan is I'm going to measure the smallest part on this piece, and I'm going to make a mark. So when I have the thing mocked up and I've got pieces all lined up like this, I can change the orientation, because this right now, if I just have them all lined up, that would make it a straight 90. But I could also, if I wanted it to kind of snake over to the right, over this way, I could do that. And then it's easier to actually be able to see without kind of like, if those weren't there, you'd kind of be guessing what orientation they're in. But then this way you're certain. So if I want to slowly go to the left, I can go like that. Or if I want to go slowly to the right, I can go like that. And it'll look perfect, because it literally will be. Right now, my goal is to make two 90s that are veering to the left just slightly, like I was showing you before. So I'm not lining up my marks with my marker. I'm actually veering it to the right by about 1/8, and I veered one to the right and one to the left. So I'm just making those two because I need to get around my distributor as quickly and as sharply as I can while keeping optimal flow. Also, on every piece that I'm tacking together, I'm tacking it around 5 times just to make sure that it's actually going to not warp on me once I get some serious heat into it from welding. Here I'm 100% certain that this is exactly how I want this pipe to be. 9 to the left, 90 up, with slight veering. And now it's just welding it together, making it all solid. And it's good to weld pieces that you know are going to be exactly how you want it sooner than later, because if you weld it when your piece is done and everything's just tacked together, the heat will actually distort it and make the pieces that you made after not fit exactly how you thought it would have, because it hasn't distorted yet. So once I'm done welding this piece, it's done distorting, and then I can move on and do more static fitment testing. Now the two 90s are done, so now I've got to get the exhaust pipe as far away from the engine as I can and keep the heat away from the intake. So I went about 12 inches up, and now I'm going to go over about 60 degrees and get out over to the right side of the car where the hole is in my hatch. I mocked it up quick, checked it, and made sure if it was what I wanted, and it is what I want, so I'm just going to weld it, get it over with, and then move on and not have to deal with it warping later. Double checked it, made sure everything was good,
and now I can move forward and I can go towards the hole in the hatch. I'm almost there, but at this very moment, this is a very hard spot to be in, and it's very difficult doing this by myself. So I've got to hold it in place, look and try and get the angle I need for getting this exhaust out of the exact hole that was originally there. I got a mark onto my flange, took everything out of the car, and then now I'm tacking it up and right back in to test fit and see how I did. I had to redo the orientation, so what I did was I just ground off one of my tacks because I only did 2 to start, and then I changed the orientation that I had it in just a little bit, and then now I'm just welding it all the way on because I've got it in that perfect spot.
This pipe's coming along. The only thing I can't do myself, put this hatch on. This hatch is almost 100 pounds, so I cannot do it without wrecking anything. Anyways, it's on, and you can see my little pipe right there. So now I need to attach something from here to that angle right there, and then weld it in. But it's gonna be hard because all I have is that little hole in the firewall to get at it. So what I did was I just threw my angled piece in there. I kind of guessed on an angle, 30 degrees, and then placed it on top of my pipe. And then I drew a line all the way around on that. So I'm gonna cut that and I'm gonna see how that's gonna work. Okay, here is my bung for my wideband sensor, which is meant to be for my air-fuel ratio gauge. So this needs to be threaded into here, into the exhaust. So what I've got to do is drill a hole into my exhaust. This is the pipe that I've been working on, and weld this guy onto it so I can thread my actual wideband into it. A couple things to keep in mind while doing this. It's best to have it installed straight down, so gravity will pull the moisture out of the sensor, because that really messes them up. And it's also important to get the right distance away from the turbo or away from your headers. There is directions on how to do this in the manual and stuff, but I go from what I'm using. I'm using E85, so it runs a little bit cooler, so I can go a little bit closer to the actual turbo if I wanted to, but I pull it away fairly far because I know I do shoot quite a bit of flames through it, and that's not good for these guys at all. And these are very expensive. They're like over $100 each, and I go through them regularly, which sucks. But it's when you're throwing flames through the exhaust, it just eats these away. So I tend to pull it away a little bit further than you normally would, because I know it'll last a little bit longer because it'll be a little bit less heat. All right, so I'm just going to install it right here, and that is fairly far away from my turbo. That's at least 25 inches, and that's good for me. That's just what I'm gonna do, and it's going to be on about 30 degrees of angle, which is okay. I'm fine with that. All right, I'm gonna get to it.
So all the welding from everything on that pipe right now is welded. So I'm going to bolt it on with the gasket, and then I can do my last piece and drop it in from the top and tack her in. Right now I am in the most awkward position ever, and my helmet barely fit in there, but I had to like put it down by hand, but it did get the tag. Now it's time to finish all those tack welds up, because I only got one on it, and finish weld. And this is the last piece to the puzzle. Now it can all go back together.
All right, there she is. Looks pretty good. TIG welds weren't bad either. There's a lot of pie cutting to do right down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, just to get around the distributor. 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 pie cuts in total. It was a lot of fun. I had my last one poking out about 1/4 of an inch, so the heat was actually like way up here rather than going around and onto the wrap. So that worked mint. And I've got my bung on, so I've got my wideband all set up. Awesome. I'm gonna quick make a plate out of carbon fiber for around my exhaust. Okay, just dropping the carbon piece right on there. The reason why I'm making this plate is because it's so hard for me to line up this pipe with this hole perfectly. And even if I take the exhaust off and re-put it back on, it moves, because if I move, if I like tighten up the flange like 1/2 mil off of what I did before, it'll actually be exaggerated by ×4, like at least. And then it'll touch or not be center, and it really bothers me. So what I'm making here is an adjustable plate. So I'm gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts holding it into the top of the car. So when I re-put in my actual exhaust here, I will have oblong holes so I can move the plate slightly, and it'll also look nice since it's carbon fiber. So I'm gonna try that. Last year it was a pain in the butt every time I had to change something up. So I'm gonna make the hole bigger in the steel and then screw it in and mark this guy out and then cut him to the proper length.
I'm just marking on top of the carbon fiber where the actual exhaust is going through, so I know where to cut.
I just made a mark just so it's flush with the carbon fiber, and I'm going to make it a little bit longer. Now I'm gonna remove the exhaust and then make my hole a little bit bigger, clear this, and then cut my exhaust, and it's done.
Yay, here's my last cut. My last cut to this long, driven out piece.
Oh damn, I think that would look awesome with the carbon fiber plate. So, I've got to figure out a way to mount this that it's going to be able to be movable. I might even enlarge this side of the hole a little bit, just so when I remount it, I don't have to run into getting the jigsaw out again and making the hole larger. But yeah, that's looking sick. I'm gonna make sure that the hatch is gonna actually open. I'm gonna see. Yeah, the carbon fiber plate didn't move. So that is like perfect. That is awesome. That's it for this episode. We'll see you in the next one. Like, comment, subscribe. This is usually fairly frightening.
I'm gonna make something great. That's